How's it going? This is Brian from Hobby Tech DIY. I'm all dressed up today. I have a meeting to go to, but I had some time here. I've been working on the installation of this BMA475 waterproof 4-channel 300 watt digital amplifier. And I'm getting to kind of the final stages, so I thought that I would start the installation video, show you how it's installed, everything that you need to do to get this thing up and running. Some of the steps that I've already taken, I've already run speaker wire for the front and the rear. I got the NavAtlas SB235 speaker soundbar pair, and I got 2 of the pair, so I have 4 total speakers. This is a 4-channel amplifier. It will do 75 watts RMS at 4 channels at 4 ohms. 98 watts RMS by 4 channels at 2 ohms. As I said, this is a full digital, full range amplifier. Pretty easy to hook up. There's really not a lot to it. All right, so I'm going to use this portion of the video just to talk about how I hooked everything up, how I wired it all. I saw some diagrams online and a few other videos, but most of them looked like they were made for electricians. They use symbols and stuff that I don't understand. I'm not an electrician, so I used pictures, and I thought this might make it a little simpler, a little easier to understand. The purpose of the way that I hook things up is that I wanted to put in an isolator. I wanted my alternator to charge my main battery, and then once the main battery is full, then this isolator opens up and the alternator will charge the auxiliary battery. I also wanted to have all of my accessories running off of only the auxiliary battery. So that's what I've accomplished here. The last goal was to have everything controlled by a switch in the dash. So let's go through this. The isolator was first. Very simple. All you need to do is connect the negative sides of both batteries together. You can see that right here. And then come off the positive terminal of your main battery to one side of the isolator, and then the positive terminal of your auxiliary battery to the other side of the isolator. You can see that here. And then the isolator just has a little ground wire that needs to be connected. And that's it for the isolator. It's really simple, super easy to install. So the next thing that I put in is this circuit breaker right here. And to install this is very easy as well. Just come off the positive terminal of your auxiliary battery to one side of the circuit breaker. And then off the other side of the circuit breaker, I ran that to this stinger relay. The other side of the stinger relay powers the fuse block right here. Now the relay has 2 other terminals. One is for ground. The other terminal is the turn-on wire. That is what I ran to my switch in the dash. So if I flip this switch, it triggers the relay, which sends power to my fuse block. The last thing you'll see down here on this side is an A&L 80 amp fuse. This is what I use to power the amplifier. So the amplifier has a built-in, it's got an inline 30 amp fuse, but I wanted to be able to power more than one amplifier if I add more to my setup. So you run off of the positive side of your auxiliary battery into one side of this fuse, and then the other side of the fuse powers the amplifier, the 12 volt lead on the amplifier. And I put a little distribution block in here just so I could power more than one amplifier, like I said, if I wanted to. So this is what supplies power. The amplifier doesn't actually kick on until it senses voltage from the remote turn-on wire. So there's a blue wire coming off the amplifier, and that I have going to that in-dash switch. So if I turn on that switch, it kicks on the amplifier. It also triggers the relay, which turns on this fuse block. And then I have my head unit, which is the DXP1000 DVR. Any other accessories that I want to install or run, I can also run off this fuse block as well. And one switch will cut power to everything. Core functions of the Razor that have to exist for the Razor to run I'm leaving those on the main battery. Everything else I'll be running off of my auxiliary battery. So pretty simple. That's how I have everything connected. That's how I supplied power to the amplifier and to the head unit. Hopefully that was easy to understand and will help some of you out there when you decide to take on this installation. So I did want to also mention another option. NavAtlas has this BMA476 BT Bluetooth amplifier with Bluetooth built in, so you can stream right from your phone or some other device directly to the amplifier. I didn't get this amplifier because the head unit that I got, which is the DXP1000 DVR, has Bluetooth, also has 2 action cameras, built-in DVR. I can stream directly from my phone, the phone screen. I can stream to the head unit. But if you didn't have a head unit, you didn't want one, another option would be this 476BT Bluetooth amplifier. You could pair that with the NA1BT or NA2BT Bluetooth controller. So it'll give you full control over whatever device you're streaming through the amplifier. Just hook this amplifier up to some speakers like the SB235 soundbar speakers. If you have a head unit that does have Bluetooth, you don't want this amplifier. You don't want to have multiple devices that are all sending out or trying to pair via Bluetooth. They can they can interfere with each other, and you won't know what to connect to. So if you have Bluetooth connectivity in your head unit, don't get this. Get the BMA475. That's it. Let's get back to the install. All right, so right here I have the speaker wires that are coming from my 4 speakers, 4 of the SB235s. I mounted them, see if I can show you this. I mounted them kind of up on each side up front, and then in the back I've got them mounted together as a speaker bar, as one. Now you don't have to use 2 pairs of the SB235s. If you wanted to just run 2 speakers, so 1 pair, you can certainly do that. And then I ran the speaker wire for the front speakers. I ran them through the roll cage, and for the rear speakers, I ran them down along the side of the Razor. I took the side panel off. If you're interested in seeing what that run looks like, look at my other videos. It is posted in there. Coming out of the amplifier, you've got, these are the speaker leads right here. So you got violet, green, white, and then gray. And it says on the amplifier what each one goes to. So you can use whatever you want to connect these speakers together. You could use a barrel connector or a butt connector or some kind of quick disconnect. I actually have some weather pack connectors, 4 ways. I'm going to use 2 of those, one for the front and one for the rear speakers. So that's how I'm going to connect them. As far as powering this amplifier, this is how I did it. I used this amplifier. This is just a little distribution block, 4-gauge in, and then the power lead, the 12-volt lead on the amplifier has an inline 30-amp fuse, so you're covered there. But then that wires just right into this distribution block. And if I want to power more than 1 amplifier with this, I certainly can. That's why I put that in there. But you want your amp to get power, clean power right off the battery. Okay, so this blue wire here is the remote turn-on lead. When this thing sees power, that's what actually turns the amplifier, triggers it on and off. I have this blue wire going to a switch that's going to be in the dash. This switch turns on the amplifier and then also has a lead that kicks on a relay that supplies power to a fuse block that's up front. And then I have my head unit running off that fuse block. So I can turn my head unit on and off and the amplifier on and off from the switch, which I told you. But that's it. It's really just, you've got your power lead, you've got your ground, which I ran to that bolt right up front there, and then the remote turn on wire. I also wanted to mention that it did come with some of these mounting brackets that are intended to mount, against a flat surface, and then the amp can just slide into the bracket and sit in there. So it does come with these. If you didn't want to, build a mounting plate or make some kind of plate like I did, it does come with these brackets that you can use. So that's another option for you. This little amp tray is just ABS plastic. I bent it to shape and trimmed it to the right size. So I'll be mounting the amplifier and this little distribution block right there on the tray. On the other side of the amplifier, all you have are the RCA inputs. And again, the label on the amplifier will tell you what's what. But all you got to do is come out of the RCAs on your head unit, right into these RCA inputs, hook up your speaker wires, and then your power, remote, and ground, and you're done. That's all you have to do to hook this thing up. Find a good place to mount it, and then tune it. It does have a front and rear gain control, and then a front and rear high pass filter. For me, I don't have a subwoofer yet, so the high pass filters I have basically turned off. And then as far as adjusting the gain, I may do another video on that, but it's very easy to do with a voltmeter. Look it up. It's on Google. Pretty easy to figure out. There's not a whole lot to it. So I've already done that. These are just Allen screws that you can pull off, and then there's a cover that pops off, and you can access the knobs that way. So that's pretty much it for the installation. I'm going to go ahead and get my speakers wired up, put the connectors on them, and then clean up the power leads. And then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all said and done. That's it. It's installed. Everything's working. Really wasn't too bad. I'm still going to tape these up, make them look a little better. I put this grounding strap right here in the back, just bent the edges up a little bit so I could get a screw through there. That way I didn't have to try to ground everything on this one bolt right here. It was kind of a lot to try to ground on there, and I was out of space, so I put that little bolt, little grounding strip in there. Makes it a little bit nicer. If you want to see the rest of the install, how I did the head unit, the speakers, the dual battery kit, there's going to be videos on all of that if there isn't already. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get notified as the new videos come out. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Hope it was useful.